Hey everybody, it's Alex Rojas here with Brand New Congress. I'm checking in for our 30-minute live Q&A session. It's a Sunday afternoon, and I'm sorry the Wi-Fi here is a little shaky, so I'm sorry if it kind of goes in and out. But it looks like we had some questions that came in from the other status we posted before, so I'm still going to take Q&A from you guys, so please continue to fill the feed with questions, but I'm going to jump back over to our earlier post that we did talking about this event and just starting there with some of the questions. So let's see. First question, can you please speak on what are the reasons needed to abolish the electoral vote? So Brand New Congress specifically, right, we're working on our platform right now in terms of the specifics of what that looks like in the abolition of the Electoral College. I can't really speak to that much. I can say that after this whole crazy election cycle in whole, we need to take a look at our electoral and voting system. All right, and that was Lou Hurley. Thank you so much for asking that. Kami Joe Richardson asks, how do you plan on doing the advertising to get each name out so the people know who they are voting for? Too small media coverage has a tendency to always hurt some very good candidates, and people don't vote for a new they don't know. That totally makes sense. That's a really, really great question. You know, one of the reasons why we're doing a unified national campaign is because we want to address problems like that. So, you know, normally in congressional races, you have 400 plus different ones going on at the same time in individual states. We're going to be running, obviously, congressional campaigns in every single district, but it's going to be part of this movement, this national unified campaign. So we're going to be able to create economies of scale by being able to use Brand New Congress as a name. So, for example, you know, for every candidate running in a given state, we can use the same advertising mechanisms and commercials, right? So we could say Brand New Congress Georgia candidates or Brand New Congress Tennessee candidates, and that allows our advertising abilities to, you know, create those economies of scale. So I really think that in terms of getting each name out is going to be a lot easier because we're using Brand New Congress as the movement versus anything else. So thank you so much, Kami. Katie. That's not a question. All right, Amanda Wincher. More info on your funding plans would be good, and do we want to try to work with existing party structures or replace them completely? Great question. So our funding plans are going to be from small contributors like yourself. We want to operate in the same way the Bernie campaign did. We don't want to accept big super PAC money. We want to be funded by the American people. So the highest contribution anybody can make, I think, is $2,500. And so we would really, really appreciate you doing that. In terms of working with existing party structures and replacing them completely, the path at which we are using to accomplish a Brand New Congress, as many of you know, we're running in all three parties, or any party. We're looking at a given district and seeing what party is most likely to win by taking a look at the political leanings that the constituents in that district vote. However, we're planning on getting a whole bunch of new people to actually step out and vote for something. So that might change things. But for the most part, if it's a blue district, we want to run a Democrat. If it's a red district, we want to find a progressive Republican. So we're definitely using the tools that we have, very similar to Bernie Sanders, how he was an independent but ran on the Democratic ticket for president. We're doing pretty much the same thing except with congressional seats. So we're using the existing structure to get in there, and then once we get that supermajority that we're always talking about, that's when the real change comes. So you guys will be voting for that come 2018. All right, I'm getting lots of questions over there too, but I'm going to finish this up really quick. So Laura Connell, what does it take to run and or what sort of things preclude someone from a run on this platform. What it takes to run are the general criteria that we always talk about. We're looking for people that already agree to our plan. So when we're approaching or looking at potential candidates, they obviously have to agree with what we're running on. They also have to be people that are outstanding members of their community, are servant proven leaders, and throughout their life story, they're proven not to sell out. And depending on what field or work that they're working in, we need them to be good at that too. They don't need to be perfect, right? When it comes to, speaking on television and stuff, I think we can all think of our congressmen that aren't necessarily the greatest, but they need to be able to hold themselves and speak with authenticity and from their heart. So in general, that's sort of what we're looking for. And forgive me, I know that I'm trying to rush through all the questions you guys have coming in. Lisa Branscombe, is there a large enough number of Congress and the Senate up for re-election in 2018 to take over both houses? I believe that there's 33 Senate seats up, and then there is all of House of Representatives. So I do think that we have a good shot in 2018 of doing that. But I think it's also important to keep in mind that even if we don't win all of these seats in 2018, we're just positioning ourselves better for, the 2 years after that when the House of Rep is up again in 2020. So in 2018, we want to get as many people as we can into that majority, but we're not going to stop even after 2018 to make sure that we get that supermajority and actually get stuff done in Congress. All right, that was all of the questions I had from the other comments, so I'm going to jump back over to you guys. All right, Wayne Cribbs, at what point does BNC become its own political party? Great question. We're actually a post-party movement, so we're really trying to transcend political affiliation by putting, a plan out there that people already agree on, and we're going to have them run in the parties that are there before us, right? Because we have this flawed two-party system. And so by doing that and having people sign and adopt onto the BNC platform, we're showing that it doesn't matter what party you're affiliated with, we all want the same thing, which is to bring people's means of making a living back into this country and, saving the crumbling middle class and helping all of the marginalized and disenfranchised people in this country. So really, I guess in short, it's good jobs for everyone and liberty and justice for all. So thank you, Wayne. All right. Rebecca Francis, I have heard talks that BNC is no longer working the idea of picking candidates in a bipartisan way. Instead, choices will be Democrats only. Rebecca Francis, that is absolutely not true. I don't know where you heard that, but we are working in actually a post-partisan way. We're not looking necessarily at people by party affiliation. When it comes to winning in these districts, yes, we are taking a look at what's the easiest path to get there when it comes to the political party of a given district's preference. But beyond that, that's what we're looking at. We're a post-party movement. Marcus Lewis, I really appreciate your dedication. David Zhao, why are you not running candidates in state legislatures? There are so many awesome movements out there and organizations that are specifically geared to a local and state level. I wish we could tackle everything under the sun, but we believe here at Brand New Congress that we need a laser-focused goal geared towards the federal legislature of our government. So I believe our revolution is one of those that is mass organizing to elect folks at a local and state level. And so that couples really nicely with what we're trying to do, which is, again, exclusively congressional elections and congressional seats. Jacob Klaus, do you think gerrymandering districts will pose a significant barrier to the BNC, and how do you plan to overcome this? That's a great question. Actually, our whole model of running in all parties addresses that issue head on. That's part of the reason why we're doing it. It's not the only reason, but definitely because of gerrymandering, I can't imagine another way sort of around that problem by not abiding by the, the given party in said district. So we're going with the easiest path to get there, looking at the district and party that they're most likely going to win in that district, and we're running in them. So gerrymandering in that sense is not necessarily a problem with us. That's why we're doing it. As my connection is weak, sorry about that, guys. All right, Rachel Listman. What are your plans for uniting the left, specifically the subset of Bernie supporters and Hillary supporters who have not been able to unite to this point? That's a really good question. I think that in total, right, we're looking not necessarily to unite the left, we're looking to unite America as a whole. We can't get bogged down by I think the terminology of the left and the right so much. I know that they're out there. I definitely use those terms, but in the case of Brand New Congress, what we're trying to do is unite all of America, because it's really going to take every person in this country to step up and say, I no longer want a corrupt system. I no longer... All right, back on. So I hope you heard that, but plans for uniting the left, specifically the subset of Bernie supporters and Hillary supporters. Right now, we're focusing on uniting all of America as opposed to one particular side. Daniel Denton, I don't think it makes sense for BNC to be a traditional political party. The point is to unite progressives so we can create a widespread change in Congress. We're not a political party. We are a movement, a people's movement. All right, Ann Blair, is Facebook going to be the main platform to reach people? Reddit was Bernie's hugest base for mobilizing. I definitely would like to see a Reddit start. Like the Bernie campaign, we're hoping that once this movement gets so big, and that is going to be completely because of you guys, that we'll able to have that organic growth on various social media platforms, because we want everybody to be excited about this. So absolutely, it's not only going to be Facebook. We're hoping to take over any platform that anyone wants to help us out in taking over. So Facebook right now is probably our biggest reach. Our biggest audience is on Facebook. So I definitely think that we're going to utilize Facebook to the best of our ability, but we're also going to use a multitude of different platforms to meet people where they're at. And where are you? Okay, so AC Fuller. Are you planning to target Democrats who aligned with Clinton as superdelegates but are generally pretty liberal? And thank you for doing this. Well, thank you, AC Fuller. We're not necessarily targeting a specific demographic of people. I guess when we look down to each congressional district, that's why we're running in multiple parties. But we're really trying to capture the same momentum, I guess, that a grassroots-backed presidential campaign would have, right? And so we're really looking for all Americans to get on board with something by giving them tangible solutions with a brand new Congress. Thank you so much, Jana. That was really sweet. All right, Greg, will you run candidates against reasonably progressive congressional members? Reasonably progressive and progressive, it really depends. We have to look at these, right? So in part, right, we're not going to run against people that are already for the BNC platform. That would be incredibly counterproductive. So we're definitely not looking to do that. Folks like Bernie Sanders and Keith Ellison and all of these, people that are really, really awesome, we don't want to challenge them. However, we do believe that there are people that look really good on paper, and part of our research and the reason why we're calling people locally is to really find out if they're fighters for their community. So it's sort of vague question and answer, but that's really how we're going about it. We're looking at things on a case-by-case basis and really making sure that the people that we're keeping, those incumbents that we want, to stay there, really are going to stand up for their community. So if they're progressive, really, really progressive, we're not going to get them out of there. All right. Allie, stop mentioning Bernie. Well, I think it's important for us to take a look at, our history, which is now the past cycle, and recognize our mistakes and continue to move forward. Remembering that if we don't remember what we've done in the past, that it's very hard to move forward in the future. So we just have to recognize that. We don't have to drain on it, but I agree with you. Yeah, it's getting interrupted. Okay, I think I got through all the questions on the last one, so I'm going to work really hard to answer all the ones that you guys just added. Andrea, what types of volunteer opportunities will you have for those that want to be involved? Great. If anyone wants to be involved right now with Brand New Congress, the most important thing you can help us with is going right now to bnc.run/nominate, reading that entire page, reading our criteria that we've laid out, the little bit of the nuances, signing up for a candidate nomination call. We're running them at least twice a week, and helping us with our candidate research process. I'm going to try and update the nomination page a little bit either later today or tomorrow to add a guide. But right now, if you email us at brandnewcongress.org, we'll send you back a research guide where it just has some suggestions on how you can help us look for candidates. But really, we need nominations and people on the phones tapping their networks. We need them, showing up at different meetings, getting real creative on how to bring and find these really amazing leaders. And then also on the computers, helping us with research and really digging through the interwebs to find some of these great people, which we definitely have been able to. So right now, that is the primary thing that we need you guys to help us with, and I hope that you join us. All right, Beth. How can we organize and stop the horrors I feel that are coming with Trump and his administration? Great question. Right now, we need to make sure there's a lot of efforts, I think, that are happening right now to address even before Trump takes office. I think those efforts are really awesome. I know that Our Revolution and Move On, I've gotten several emails from them, so it seems like they're organizing really, really quickly. But because this is such a massive movement, Brand New Congress, we're really trying to run in all 400 districts, right? We need to keep our eyes laser focused on 2018. So in between then, we're going to be coming up with really creative ways to mobilize and organize against anyone that is going to be targeting the most vulnerable in this in our country. And so one of the best ways to counteract that in our Red Congress is to get them out of there. So come 2018, we need everybody helping Brand New Congress make phone calls, knocking on doors, getting the vote out, and making sure that we take back our legislative branch of our government and really build political power in one of the most powerful parts of our government, which is the United States Congress. So I think that's the best way to not only fight a Trump administration, but it's also to fight all of the little Trumps that are inevitably, I think, going to come out of, the person that is now leading our country. Laurel Tamarkin, thank you for having a question. Have you already identified candidates for some districts, so those people looking to nominate should rule out researching for candidates in those particular districts? That's a great question. Like we told you guys, if you get us 100,000 signups on our website, we are going to launch our draft campaign for our first set of potential candidates. And so you'll have a little bit of an indication of what we're looking for in those, but I think it's important for us to keep our nomination process completely open until the day we actually announce our full slate of candidates. And the reason I say that is because we're anticipating, and everybody should, right? We should hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So we want to have actually multiple candidates in said district. So every district is open right now. We're definitely prioritizing some over the. All right, so it's back on. So we're not releasing a public list of what districts we're not challenging, but we are challenging just because we want to see a wide pool of nominations. So I would say if you're helping us out with candidate research, you know, there's always a place to start. We have it in our research guide, some of the places we think that you guys should start at, but that's also not, you know, you're not beholden to that. So I would say, you know, the whole playing field is open right now. Continue to research, obviously, I think for incumbents that are clearly need to get out of there and helping us that way. Beth Crank. In my rural area, there were Republican candidates running unopposed. How can we get a Democrat in there and win? Hi, Beth. That's a great question. If you live in a red district, we will not be running a Democrat because they are more likely than not going to lose. That kind of stinks to say, but we are looking for progressive Republicans and independents to run in red districts. And we think that is the way that we're going to win by still keeping with our platform. That doesn't mean that candidates are not going to abide. They have to abide by the BNC platform. That's sorry about that weak connection. So I hope that answers. All right. So Kieran is taking over Congress on pause so you can help take over the DNC. No, we are definitely not going on pause. I think that is a little bit of a separate thing, which is great for people that are going after the DNC, but we are going after Congress, so that's not going to change. Joseph, use Ethernet, it's more stable. I agree 110%, and next time, maybe that's what I'll use. All right, I am so sorry about that. Adil, it doesn't look like you have a question, but I really commend your efforts on organizing on campus. I think that's awesome. Yes, Charlotte, let's change history together. Daniel Patrick, are there any BNC contacts in Indiana? I'm sure we have supporters there, but right now we actually don't have like state or local or national or regional coordinators. We're focusing on our candidate search. So that means that we're not setting up local chapters just yet. So if you can help us, definitely help us with our candidate search process. And if you need to organize people around that effort and really help us out with that. So it's a clear goal of helping us find candidates. For your case, it might be Indiana. So definitely any way that you can yield those would be awesome. Nikhil, any need for design volunteers? I think the best thing that you can do right now is email us at brandnewcongress.org and make sure that you indicate that you want to help and can help us out with graphic design or whatever your skill or talent is. We have a help desk team. Shout out to them. They're amazing. And what they basically do is they'll get your email and be able to tag you based on your skill and interest and also that you're willing to volunteer your services. So I think that's the best way, and then we'll sort of be in contact that way. But like I said, because we're focused on candidate research, at this very moment, there's not a strong need for design volunteers, but I want to get you into our system, so please email us at brandnewcongress.org. Lynn Carroll, give that website again. For nominate, it's bnc.run/nominate. To email to ask any questions or to get candidate research materials, email us@brandnewcongress.org. Brownlin Motion, how are you going to get the outreach required by this project? we're doing a lot of that outreach right now. That exists within the national BNC volunteer infrastructure and the working group that is currently leading Brand New Congress. So we're definitely conducting that outreach now and, taking it step by step. So we're definitely working on it. Scott Miller. What is the best way for Americans residing outside the United States to support BNC? Great question. I think it's so cool that we already have people that are international that really like what Brand New Congress is doing. I don't think you can donate to us unless you are, an American citizen that's living abroad. But you can help us with our candidate research project. That's one of the actually very few things that you guys can help us with a lot. You can get on the computers and really help us do some serious research for the candidates that we need in given districts. So make sure again to go to bnc.run/nominate to sign up for a candidate nomination call and also learn more about those nuances, the criteria, and then also get sent the candidate research stuff that we recommend you use while finding candidates. And then actually just thinking of something, Jagruti just commented. She said, I can definitely make some calls. That's actually really good that she brought it up. We're not really recruiting hard for volunteer teams or anything like that because we need everybody laser focused on candidate research, but we do have a call team. So if you guys like being on the phones, you like having those really organic conversations, email us, and we need help with our call team as well. So you can email us at brandnewcongress.org for that too, or any other volunteer opportunities and skills you might have that you think can help us out. Joel Fielder. How do you plan on bringing the gap to voters who view a much more progressive agenda as a bit extreme? I think we do that by, yes, our platform is progressive, but it's populist. And I think if Donald Trump has proven anything, is and Bernie Sanders has proved that populist message of really helping people bring back a means of a living in this country really is going to unite voters more than anything else. I think people are sick of party politics and putting people before that. So offering a post-party solution and really giving an alternative to what the establishments have given us, right? They make money off of the divisiveness that exists right now. And so I think people really want to see tangible solutions and tangible plans and a path forward. So that's what we're going to be offering them. So even though it might come off as extreme, people are living really poorly in this country, and we're going to offer a way out of that. So people we're hoping, going to come out in droves to actually vote for something as opposed to voting exclusively on party lines. It's going to be a challenge. We're definitely not foolish to think that, but I wholeheartedly believe that we can come together if we really want to refix and rebuild the United States. David Combs, what do your regional field ops look like so far? Like I mentioned before, we don't have a local infrastructure in every district quite yet. So right now our regional field ops is not as strong as it will be for when we're actually running. We need the candidates, right? And you guys really need to help us do that. So I'll speak to that as soon as we get our candidates and we get all of them and can really speak to your question a little bit better. So I'm sorry that I didn't answer that as much as I probably should have, but let's focus on the task at hand. Lorraine, is BNC looking for possible candidates from all political parties? That's absolutely what we're looking for. We don't care what party you're affiliated with as long as you agree with the BNC plan and match your district according to that. Spencer Green, at what point could you expand to state legislatures? Until we get our supermajority in Congress, that is what we are focusing on. So just to reiterate, we are exclusively focusing on the federal level, the United States Congress, and until we get a supermajority, we're not stopping until we get there. All right, it's back on. For some reason, when I hold it over here, it works a little bit better. Chachi commented, where do I start? You can start by going to bnc.run/nominate and helping us research and find candidates. And like I mentioned, it might have cut out with the signal. I'm staying on longer than 30 minutes just to make sure I get to answer all the questions that unfortunately I didn't get to because the signal is bad. So I apologize and bear with me if it cuts out again. Other than vetting candidates, what else can we do? Right now, you can either sign up for our call team or help us with finding candidates. I'm sorry that there's not that many options, but it would be really, I think, irresponsible to give you guys tasks without a real strong purpose right now. And so what we're capable of doing in terms of management and our national infrastructure is focus everything on our candidate search, because that is what is going to yield us that victory that we want to see in 2018. So I know that it's really, really, really hard work. I definitely acknowledge that. But if you want to help BNC out right now, I really, really hope that we can all help with this candidate research process. It's really rewarding when we find them, and it's absolutely necessary work that needs to be done. So if you want to organize around that locally, help us with that process. Otherwise, if you can get on the phones or get on the computer to help us do that, it would be really greatly appreciated. So thank you so much, Amy. Bob, not sure if you answered as the signal breaks up. Oh, sorry about that. Are you working with ReElection? Currently, Brand New Congress is independent. We're not working with a particular organization or having partnerships or anything like that yet. However, as we approach 2018, right, there's going to be some overlap with congressional seats. So we're definitely looking forward to collaborating in any way that we can to make sure that we're not doubling up on efforts or overlapping, because that wouldn't be very productive. But we are independent and not working with a particular group outside of ourselves right now. Marcus Boyer, I am a high school teacher. How can we get our students involved? Oh my God, Marcus, that is so amazing. Thank you so much for asking how students can get involved. I think that's absolutely amazing. I guess maybe for starters, we have brandnewcongress.org/work. They can take a look at the toolkit we have now just to read a little bit about who we are, explore our website, and I think actually it would be really, really cool to get kids involved with the candidate research process and really using whatever online databases maybe you have to be able to do that, since maybe you have more resources than even us to be able to effectively utilize those and help us find really awesome candidates. That's a really interesting question, and that just made me so happy. So thank you so much, Marcus. Sean, much of the BNC platform seems to be big government and liberal social policies. Conservatives would probably support civil liberties and corruption policies. And for some reason it cut off on your question, and it says, do you plan to I'm not sure what the end of your question is, but I would say that we're definitely, you're absolutely right, a more populist platform. I wouldn't necessarily put us in a box of liberal or conservative, but we really are putting forth common sense, hopefully, not hopefully, we will be putting forth common sense legislation, and so that's where we're coming from. It's not liberal or conservative, it's really common sense solutions to tackle some of the biggest challenges that we face in our time. James, is there a way to assist in researching candidates when you have absolutely no idea in mind but could sift through other people's selections? Yes, absolutely. Right now, go to bnc.run/nominate to check out our criteria to sign up for one of our calls. And then we're also going to send you our recommendations on how to research. Personally, I like looking through lists. So, think of the Society of Civil Engineers or, any sort of industry or sector, right? Because we're looking at people from all walks of life, all fields of our economy and our society to fill for these potential candidates. So I think that there's definitely lists of awards, lists of community leaders out there. So you can do that by sifting through other people's selections of outstanding members in their community to see if they match the criteria. That's a great point. I am going to hop off in about 7 minutes just to make sure that I don't go over it. I'm pushing, I think, 45 minutes now. Amber, could you approach Rachel Maddow again to try for some more exposure? Absolutely. You guys should help us out with that. Continue to share our name, expand our reach, talk about us with anybody and everybody you can. We're definitely trying to push to get back on Rachel Maddow or any, whether it's mainstream media or alternative media, to get our name out there, because you're right, we need as much exposure as we can to speak to the American public. So that's a great point, Amber. Alex, how close are you to 100,000 nominations? What timeline are you expecting to work with going forward? We're trying to get there as rapidly as we can. We're about halfway there, I would say, to the 100,000 people signed up on our website. I think that's actually what you meant, not 100,000 nominations. We have a couple thousand nominations, and we need 100,000 signups on our website. So we're about halfway there, and you guys, I have full faith, are going to put us over the top. I'm going to skip your question, AA. Are you guys working with ReElection? I answered that before, and for the sake of time, I'm going to move on to the next one so you can rewatch the video. Lorraine, that is so awesome. You're in with candidate research. That's great. Adil, what can progressive college organizations do for Brand New Congress, and could someone from Brand New Congress come to my college, Rutgers University, to speak about what you guys are doing? What can college organizations do? Keep the conversation going. I think that this is absolutely necessary to not even just talk about Brand New Congress, but talk about the issues and be open to hearing perspectives that are different than yours. Obviously, there are some things that we all feel really strongly about, but I think if anything, we're in a time where we need to listen more and to at least get that conversation started. So I would recommend maybe hosting forums or, places where you can invite all students, not just ones aligned with a particular party or affiliation, to make sure that you guys can come together and actually talk about not only the problems, but the solutions to those problems. And in reference to someone to come and speak at your event, right now we don't have the time or ability to do that at this moment, since we're really trying to find our candidate. So I'm sorry that we can't, but if I'm ever in the area, or any of us are ever in the area and we have time, I'd love to do whatever I can to support you guys. Okay, 4 minutes. Chris, one of the biggest criticisms of the Sanders campaign was the very poor ground game. How do you fix that as a brand new Congress entity, especially in so many districts? I think that you're absolutely right, in that we didn't have, and I say we because I actually used to work on the Bernie Sanders campaign. I was a digital distributed organizer, and so I did a lot of mobilizing remotely for volunteers that either didn't have staff or had staff come late, or they had already left. So I think combining a field program with a digital program is one way that we're going to approach this and improve our ground game. But I think in large part we're going to rely on our ability, like Sanders, to sort of have that snowball effect in the media and the way people are getting excited and jumping up to hopefully volunteer and fill parts of our campaign that are necessary. So I would say, unlike what we've seen in previous campaigns, we don't necessarily want to rely on political operatives. We want to rely on the American people, like you guys, grassroots volunteers, to put us over the top and to help us build this national movement. So we're really, really, we are a grassroots powered movement. We are a people's movement, and we want to be able to work with everybody on the ground to actually give them the resources to perform at the level that we need to come GOTV time. So we're those economies of scale I was talking about in the last live stream. Part of that is definitely to address that problem and being able to actually provide volunteers in every single district with the resources they need to be able to succeed and talk to as many people as they possibly can. So I hope that answers it. Stephanie, have you made any contact with the Young Turks to maybe get the word out? Absolutely. We definitely tried to get a hold of them, especially at the Democratic National Convention, and we want to approach anyone and anybody that is willing to help us spread our name. So if you guys have any connections, definitely continue to talk us up, and we're going to do our part in reaching out to as many alternative media and media sources to get the word out to all American people. Georgetown Law Students for Democratic Reform. Oh, cool. Where's the organization headquartered? We would love to volunteer and host an event centered around this campaign at Georgetown. Wow, that is so great. Right now we have our first office in Morristown, Tennessee. You can actually see on our Facebook page where exactly we're at. I think that's awesome that you'd love to volunteer and host an event centered around this. That's totally up to you. And like I said, helping us find candidates is the ask, I guess, or the main focus I think you guys should do at said event. All right, and with that, that's actually the last question that we've received. So I just want to close with a big thank you. This week has been, for a lot of people, really depressing and kind of bitter, but I do really truly feel that this is at the same time, sometimes to some people horrifying. It's also a really exciting moment in American history where we can see that the establishment is crippled. We have this moment in time where we can see that grassroots power and small dollar contributions can take over the political apparatus. We see the hundreds of thousands of people that we've mobilized around the country, and we see where that energy can go. And so I hope that you guys put that behind the Brand New Congress movement. You help make this a reality, and above all else, you put love at the center, and make sure that when we're doing anything, that we're pushing forward with coming from a place of love. We're coming from a place of wanting to help every American citizen, and we're coming from a place that really wants to truly create great jobs for everybody and provide liberty and justice for all. And so I know that's sort of a cheesy way to end this, but we wouldn't be here without you guys. It's absolutely humbling to see the surge of support that we've seen in the past few days. And I promise you that I'm working my heart out to hold us accountable, to make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to be successful come 2018. So keep the conversation going. Talk about this with your friends, your coworkers, colleagues, family, whoever, and let's create a future that works for all of us, all Americans. Thank you so much, and tune in next Sunday for our next 30-minute live Q&A. Signing out. Bye, guys.